Hey guys, after just explaining how the bot technology was directly linked to one of the worst crimes in Victoria, in Australia's history, through a well-known corrupt copper, this guy has the local drug addicts in the red light district of Melbourne on a string, on a puppet string. They will brag about the fact they're in with this guy. This is how bad it is, and he's a disgusting piece of dirt. Because any corrupt police officer, like a Roger Rogerson, have a look at Roger the Dodger Rogerson. If you ever want to see a slimy human being of ill repute, the slimiest of the slimy people, and this is why society places them in a cell with the pedophiles, because that's where society places corrupt police. They're power abusing filth. They are the lowest of the low. That's fact. You've got obviously murderers, blah blah blah, but then you have sex offenders. Now jail, I often joke, jail has this way of leveling things out, and basically it just tears things back to, there's no crazy bureaucracy and laws in jail. It just puts it where people see it. The rapists and the pedophiles are treated like filth, and so are the power abusers. There you go, off you go, in there with the pedophiles, keep them company, because that's where society places you. Well, in my little previous podcast on how I got to know what I got to know, because I had it done to me, I'm well aware. So let me explain this. Let me explain how I learnt this. Jail has a grapevine. The prison grapevine is next level, okay? It is all inmates have time to do is to, it's almost like a protection mechanism too. You want to know who's who in the zoo and what's he done, and you want to have a little bit, you want to keep up with the times. It's just what happens. There's a little gossip. Anyway, so what happens in that is, if people come from the pokey separation, there's a little, when they get released back into mainstream, back into the main, and they're doing their greetings, there's a little debrief of sorts. There's a little hey, how you going? Who else is down there? Oh yeah. Oh really? Particularly in places like assessment prisons and remand prisons, because sometimes people who are known in the prison system will hit the cells and they'll get separated instantly. Or, if you're a big time, the biggest example of that is people like Mick Gatto, who spends his whole remand time on what they call management because of his high profile status. So prisons end up abusing that and using it as a way of getting at people, to be honest. But anyway, that aside, I try and keep away from those jail air raids. So there's this little debrief session. Well, one time I'm at the Melbourne assessment prison, right about the time that this horrible, horrible crime happened, where somebody wigged out and was seen doing donuts and ended up killing innocent people. And in this debrief session, hey, how are you, bro? I knew this guy from previous sentences. He's just been released from the slot, from the pokey, and when they come out of pokey, it's like exciting. You've got instant, we're social people. So the fact that you're just like, hey mate, how you going? Oh, you're like a 5-year-old in a candy shop, You're just like, yeah, but you want to talk because you've been isolated for 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 months, whatever it is. So there's this debrief session. Anyway, right about this time, his neighbour, my mate that I knew from previous sentences, his neighbour was also another bloke that he knew from previous sentences, who had just wigged out and run over innocent people. And I was like, oh yeah, and this is high profile. This is front page news. This guy's just done the most heinous of heinous crimes. And it's like, oh yeah, what's he saying? Like, as you would, your initial reaction is to hate on this guy. You're like, oh yeah, what's he saying? And he was like, such and such, talking about the copper, was fucking with me. That's his exact words. I still remember it. Such and such, he mentioned the corrupt cop's name, was fucking with me. Okay, at the time I'm chewing, talking about other things. Yeah, no worries. It's not the first high profile case we've heard of that's come through and ended up in the slot. You don't see, whatever, it's just jail. So what? So we carry on, blah, 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 thinking nothing of it. But I know of this thing called such and such was fucking with me. Okay, a corrupt cop was fucking with someone. Now I've got that in my experience wisdom bank. Anyway, fast forward, and then I become this dog who was caught on surveillance tapes that they were using at the Collingwood flat that they used to make public to try and turn people against me. In that, I've discussed that. I've also discussed other things, but my point is, I soon turned into system enemy number one. How dare he talk about? I also talked about, I'll tell you what else I talked about. I talked about how this tactic, this bot technique, this head doing tactic, this drop it, what they used to do, back in the day they used to drop the wire on someone. Now dropping the wire is basically if you're a murder suspect, but they've got no evidence on you, but they know you bowled Benji Venuman. They know 100% you're going to get away with murder. And they don't like that, understandably. Murder is a bad thing, that obviously. Even if it's gang. Anyway, they used to have a thing called dropping the wire. Dropping the wire basically involved just doing your head in. Driving up and down your street. If you worked, coming into your work, but they can't just go, hey, we're looking at him for a murder conviction. They have to do it in a way that, oh, have you seen Michael? We just want to speak to him about this burglary. Or whatever. They just basically just in your face, trying to knocking on your mum's door, your sister's door, your mother-in-law's door, just doing your head in. So, and I have never come close to needing this type of resource spent against me. Anyway, in this Collingwood apartment, I've discussed this, but I've also discussed how this well-known corrupt cop who paints it out in as soon as I heard he was getting bail, I was bounding down those stairs trying to put a stop to it. Bollocks, man. Utter bollocks. Anyway, so I'm discussing these type of things, but what else I discussed was how I could picture this. I don't know this for a bar of soap. I can only go from, when you use reason and logic to put something together that you might have made a lasagna and you might have made a cake, but now you need a lasagna cake. You've got the reason and logic to join the two, right? Without turning it into a real terrible cheesy mess. You get me? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Whatever. You know how to join things that you've never done before. Well, I'm going from experience. I could picture without one skerrick of doubt in my mind a situation involving a yellow, arrogant Porsche driver who's come under the radar because he's a meth smoker. So instantly, seeing a Porsche driver pulling up at the dealer's joint that they were watching, they would have locked in. Who's this bloke in the bloody Porsche, right? We better do a background on him. In a background, the first thing they do, if you're in an investigation, what they'll do is they will pull you over and just do a little bit of a snoop. You can tell when it happens to you, because you get pulled over by a uniform divvy, but they've got the aura of a seasoned detective. No problem. That's great. It's police work. I could see 100% they've pulled this arrogant rich kid in a Porsche flying around town on meth and thought, yeah, we're going to show you. You want to be smart ass to us? They've done a background. They've realised he's nobody. He's not selling drugs. He's not doing anything. He's just smoking them with his parents' money. So they've thought, we'll show this prick, bloody show me and Officer Rock. You want to be a smart ass to me, do you? So they would have 100% done the same little hack, aggravated by, and been doing this guy's head in. No problem. Who cares, right? Until the bloke is pulled over because he's trying to escape this bot driving around erratically. Sometimes I was doing to just try and like go, fuck you. It was wiling you up that bad. I was doing 200. I look back at it and think, oh my God, I'm so lucky I did not die because of these pieces of shit. Anyway, so picture this yellow Porsche driver who's rolled up, driving erratically, and they're all monitoring it. Then I got the trackers and everything like that. He's already been pulled over once, twice before. Now he's pulled over, and what happens? Strike me down. The universe doesn't like power abusers, does it? It doesn't like corruption at that level. And what happens? Brave, honest, innocent, unsuspecting people lose their lives. Now, I don't know that. Of course I don't know that. Nobody could know that. But I could imagine that if you could track down that said Porsche driver, who was definitely, one thing I do know for a fact, that said Porsche driver was definitely being sleep deprived when he was in prison. I know that for a fact. We saw it with our own eyes. The whole prison unit saw it. The entire prison unit were like this. What are they doing? Why are they driving around shining a spotlight through? Oh, that's such and such, the Porsche driver. What the hell? You pieces of dirt. Sleep depriving inmates, torturing inmates. I don't care. I don't care who it is. I don't care if he was an alleged sex offender. I don't care. That's not your business to do, because you're too incompetent. You mismanaged enough. Look at the state of Victoria. You got no business. The Victorian system has no business treating humans like that one bit. One, because your boss, Jacinta Allen, prays to the woke mind virus. She uses woke ideologies as her front and center. She plays left ideologies. She would rather have rainbow flags and Indigenous flags on government letters than the Australian flag. That's one reason you got no business to be treating any human being like that. The other reason you got no business treating any human being like that is because you're doing shit at your job. Quite frankly, the Victorian system has just set records in the worst crime stats ever. So if you want to play the arrogance game, you want to be good at your job. If you were out there on the football field and you were doing all that, like showing dummies, bang, tackled, doing some fancy footwear, tackled, coach would pull you off, right? Coach would go, get out of there, come on, step out of it, you're a dud. So what we've got is we've got these muppets playing the arrogance rock ape game, like, yeah, look at me, I can do this, I can torture people, don't worry, this guy wants to be a smart ass to us, we'll get him sleep deprived and tortured in jail, okay? Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Oh, we will, don't you worry, we have the technology, okay? Which, yeah, no worries. Not when you're getting even your own killed. Not when you're getting brave, frontline, innocent people nearly smashed over the head with a small axe. Wake up to yourselves. Stay tuned for more.